Okay, this video is going to go through the activity 1 and activity 2 for array lists. So the first activity is just kind of summing up everything you would need to know for array lists. So first thing, now a lot of this you're going to have to read through on your own. I'm not going to read everything, all right? But the big difference, but I'm going to try to hit most things. I'm going to try to go through the problems and show you how they work, and then I'm going to go through all the examples. Okay, so the big difference between an array and array list is an array list can grow and shrink. There's some subtle differences. So like instead of an array uses the length to get the length of the array. An array list uses size, the size method. Array lists, an array can hold, primitive data types or objects. An array list can only hold objects. So that's this right here. Array lists hold objects. And in order to hold primitive data types, you have to do this thing called auto-boxing. And so right here, there's an integer. Like if you're going to define a list that's an array list that holds integers, you would use the integer class right here. And that's how you would define it. And there's some things that we'll go through in a little bit to explain. So First thing you can do with an array list is you can add objects to it, so you can append information to it. So you've got this, and I'm going to pull up my pen here, sketch screen. So you've got this add method, so you're adding A to it. Then you've got B, C, D, and E. And so it just depends on to the end. So this is index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's no different in that respect. Okay, those are all the different indexes. So in this case, what we're trying to do is remove from position 1. So K is 1. 1 is less than or equal to 3, so remove at position 1. So what that would do is that would take out that, and now you have your array A, C, D, E, okay? Because everything gets moved down, all right? And then you would go to, what does it say? Okay, so you're removing for whatever's in position 1, so K becomes 2, so you would remove that, and it becomes A, D, E. And then this would become 2. 2 is less than or equal to 3. So you'd remove, I think this was written wrong. I think this was supposed to just be less than, at least from the example that I have. Let me show you. So then you would have A and E right here. Let me see if, let me scroll down and see. Yeah, because the sample question, I think I screwed that up. I think this is supposed to say it's less than 3. Okay. No. No, it's right. Sorry. I'll put that back in. That's correct. Sorry about that. I made a mistake. So anyway, you had A and E. Let me pull this back up. So you eventually had A and E, right? And so now you want to add in a star between in position 1. So this is 0 and this is 1. So you'd have A and then star and then E. Okay. And then it becomes 2, and you'd put 1 in there, so it'd be A star star E, okay. Okay, and then 3 is less than 3, so you'd add in another star A star 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 E. Okay, and so it's asking you what are you going to come up with when this would be your final answer right here. You would add in 3 stars at position 1 right there, and then it just moves on. It pushes everything down. So your answer would be, I don't know, C right here. Okay, so we've already kind of played with add. There's 2 types of add. You can add it and it will be put to position. It will just be appended on to the end of the string, or you can add it to a specific spot. In this case, we added it to index position 1. Okay, next up, you're going to have to know size. Size returns the how many elements are in the list. Get, you can get whatever's in a certain position. Okay, so in this problem, saying for which of the following lists will the method not work as intended. So we're going through, starting at 0 to the end of the list. We're going to get whatever's in position 0, and if this is less than 0, remember I said that the list holds integers, and integer is a primitive data type. Well, in order to get whatever is in, you have to use this int value. So we're checking to see whatever's in index position 0. If it's less than 0, remove it. Well, we basically want to remove all negative numbers here. Now, there's a trick here that you got to watch out for, and the AP test loves checking to see if you understand this, okay? Come on, sketch screen. All right, so let's say I have 6, -1, -2, and 5. Okay, if you get a question like this 9 times out of 10, they're just checking to see if you understand this. So let's say we get what's in position 1 and we remove it. Okay, this will remove information, so we remove it. Okay, when we do that, 6, -2, and 5 are now our new array list, and 2 gets bumped over to position 1 right here, okay? Now this creates a problem because index becomes, instead of it being 1 now, it's now 2. Is 2 less than the size? Yes. What's in position 2? 0, 1, 2, it's 5, okay? And so we basically skip this one because it got bumped over. So which one will not work as intended? This one will not work because there's 2 negative numbers next to each other. All the other ones will work just fine. So look through that and just keep that in mind, that this is a typical AP question where they want to see if you understand how when you remove information from an array list, it gets bumped over, and that's like bread and butter points right there that you should get. Okay. So now we're on to set. What set does is it goes to whatever position you're in and replaces it with whatever you're wanting to pass into it. So replaces item at specified index in the list with specified element. One other thing that does is it returns the element that was previously at the index. So if you're at index 1 and you want to set it to 5 and it was previously 4, it's going to return 4 here and set the index, or set the information in there to 5. Okay, so let's look at this one. I guess the best way to look at this one is through this table that I created. Len is the size list, the list size, sorry. You're going 0 to the end of len. You're adding in position, this would be 0 plus 1, so in position 1 you'd add in, at first you'd add in 0. So if you have 610, you've got this, 610, and right here you add in position 1, you add in 0, so that's 0, and then 1 and 8 there. Those get bumped down. And then what you're doing, you're setting at position, what? Let's see here, set position 0 to 0 plus 2 is 2, and since it was already 2, or no, sorry, it changes to 2, so now you've got 2, 0, 1, 8. Okay, now this becomes 1. 1 plus 1 is 2, so you're looking at whatever's in position 2. You add 1 to it because I was 1, so you add a 1 there, and then 1 and 8 get pushed down, and then in position 1 right here you set it to 1 plus 2, which is 3, so you got 2, 3, 1, 1, 8. Finally I becomes 2. 2 plus 1 is 3, so you're looking at whatever's in position 3. You're setting it to 2, so you're adding it there. So you put 2 there, and 1 and 8 gets pushed down. And then you're setting whatever's in position 2, which originally was 1. You're going to set it to 2 plus 2, which is 4. So there you go. So your answer is A. Okay, I suggest writing out the table when you do these. As you can tell, it's getting harder to do this stuff in your head, so write it out in the table and you'll be fine. This just goes through the add method. We've already been through this. This goes for remove. It just removes whatever's in that index position, and then it returns it to, like if you do an assignment statement, suppose list is an array list of string containing 5 string objects. Which statement removes the first element from the list and stores it in this variable string? Well, this would do that. It removes whatever's in position 0, but then it returns whatever that information is. If you assign it into a variable, it will assign it in there. So your answer for this one is B. Kind of skip that. This for each loop stuff is pretty important, and I'll go through this with more examples, but you got this for each data structure. So you've got the data type, and you just call it whatever you want, whatever your data type is. So if it's an int, and then you've got your variable name, and then this is your array. So if you got an array called numbers, numbers would go right here, and then you would say int and my values. This is like a placeholder, okay? And what this is supposed to do is supposed to get rid of the issues with a for loop and having index out of bounds and having issues with that. It's supposed to just go, hey, we want to run through all of numbers, and in this case we're just going to display them, okay? So we're displaying my value. So the placeholder is first time you go through is 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now anytime we've gone through arrays and even strings, we've always had a placeholder like int I equals 0. I is less than the array dot length, or string dot length, okay? In this case there are no placeholder. There's no counter variable that you need, okay? So in this case we've got numbers, we're doing this and we want to just sum all of my values, and so that would add them all up. You can read through the advantages of a for loop and disadvantages of for loops, okay? And then I want to go through activity 2 and write these out for you guys. So I have ArrayList going back to weeks now. So anyway, I made this fantasy football kind of program up, or idea up. I don't know if any of these guys are still playing in the league. Either way, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna just start writing these out. Okay, so it says define your array list. So we've got an array list, and it's gonna hold strings. Okay, and I'm just gonna call it Seeley's picks equals new array list, and string. Okay, and then I need to have my opening and closing parentheses there and a semicolon. semicolon. All right, cool. I'm gonna have to write this smaller, but that's okay. Add to your array list. Okay, so I've got to close this down, scroll down my screen. All right, here, now I got some more screen to play with. I need to add to my array list, so we'll call it Seeley's picks dot add, and I need to add in a quarterback, a running back, wide receiver, and a tight end. So I'll say Aaron Rodgers, Seeley's picks dot add, Le'Veon Bell, sorry about my handwriting, it's bad, I know. And then Jimmy. Okay, so that adds them. Array statement to determine the size of your array. What is the size of your array? So that would just be Seeley's picks dot size. And if I did that, that would return 4 because there's 1, 2, 3, 4 elements in it. Since defense win championships, write a statement to add a defense to the front of your array list. Well, my team is the Broncos, so my Seeley's picks dot add. So we want to add in position. We want to add in the Denver Broncos. Write a statement to determine the position of the last element of your array list. Okay, so last element is going to be Jimmy Graham, but in order to get that, it'd be Seeley's picks dot size -1. That gives me the last element in there. Okay, so those are all pretty easy. Scroll down a bit. All right, so it says for 6, it says write a for loop and for each loop to display each element in your array list. So we could have for int I equals 0. I is less than Seeley's picks dot size I plus plus. Sorry, that's supposed to be parentheses. It's kind of bad. And you could have s.o.p system.out.println, and you could have Seeley's picks dot get whatever's in position I, and sorry, I'm gonna go below it and write another one right here. We could have for string value, we'd have Seeley's picks and we could just say s.o.p and we could say value. Okay. Notice how that one's a lot easier to write than this one up here. You don't have to worry about messing up with size or having an index out of bounds or getting the value. Just display the value. Okay. All right, so And 7, add another quarterback and defense. So if I wanted to do this, I'd have Seeley's picks dot add Seeley's Seeley's picks dot add Okay, and I'll do, I don't know, Andrew Luck. Adrian Peterson. Randall. And we'll do Seattle. All right. Okay, so that's 7. That's pretty easy. 8, it says write a for loop display your array list backwards. Ooh, backwards. So you got a for int I is going to equal to Seeley's picks dot size -1, and we'll have I is greater than or equal to 0. I minus, and you can have s.o.p, and you get Seeley's picks dot get whatever's in position I. Okay. Find out that one of your wide receivers are hurt. Remove that wide receiver from your list and set him to a new wide receiver. Make sure they have the same index. All right. So I think, you know, my last one was a wide receiver is in position 7, so I'll get rid of him. Seeley's picks dot set, and we'll set whatever's in position 7 to Calvin Johnson. Sorry, it's just an N. Okay, 10. You find out that you are only able to use one defense in your fantasy league. Remove one of your defenses from the list. Let's see here. What defense was 0, 1, 2, 3, 4? Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out what index position the defense is in. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think there's a defense in, I think Seattle Seahawks is in 9, so we'll do Seeley's picks dot remove, and we'll remove what's in position 9. I think that's correct, okay? If not, I mean, just go look at it. You just remove whatever the index position is, all right? This thing's screwing me up because I can't go back up and look and see what I wrote down. Okay, and let me 11. Okay, says write code that loops through each element in the array list. If it finds Tom Brady, display boo. Else if it finds the Denver Broncos, display yeah. So do a for loop for int I equals 0. I is less than Seeley's pix dot size I plus plus. So if we're going to get whatever is in position I, if that equals Tom Brady, then s.o.p boo. I'm not a Patriots fan. Okay, so then if it's Broncos, if Seeley's picks dot get whatever's in position I dot equals Denver Broncos s.o.p. Yay. Okay, so I mean that's basically array lists. They get harder, but this is a good starter program or starter video for you guys and worksheet to get you introduced to them. So, all right.